Welcome, everyone. I'm very excited to have this afternoon with me an amazing astrologer. He's actually my teacher. He's also an author. He's written many, many different books. Simon Cherkoisky. Welcome, Simon.
Welcome back. Thank you. I have no idea what we're doing today, by the way. So for everyone watching, Firoze has not prepped me for anything. She just said, "Hey,
Absolutely not. This is going to be
let's have another
organic. It's
meeting."
just coffee with the kingpins, little conversation between two friends. And it's
Where's my
going.
coffee? All right,
Where is
this
your
will be
coffee? It's past coffee time, though. I'm drinking kombucha. There you go. Okay.
Publix had a sale on these, so I'm trying this out.
I hope
Um,
you read the ingredient listing.
yes, yes, I
Good.
did. So we'll see. It's not coffee, but it'll pass. All right. So what are
Simon,
we talking about?
so what I would like to first ask you is tell us a little bit about your childhood. How were you fascinated? How were you drawn into learning Vedic astrology? What was the path?
I didn't start with Vedic astrology, but I was always interested in astrology. When I say always, I mean as far back as I can remember, which is about um, age 9 or 10. I can remember farther back than that, but I think my interest in astrology started at age 9 or 10 for a school project. Think what grade was I? I think seventh grade, sixth grade, seventh grade. I also did more projects on it, and it was Western astrology. And I remember going to a number of Western astrologers. It's interesting because one of the first astrologers that I met, her name is Charlotte Benson. She was just came here to visit. She was here for a conference. Um, and that got my interest, but in astrology in general. But then I read Deepak Chopra's books, and something deep resonated there for me. So I went to Albuquerque, New Mexico, to study Ayurveda with a famous doctor named Vasant Lad, who is an Ayurvedic physician of idea and a teacher, but even more comprehensively, he was a hub of Vedic philosophy and wisdom, his center, which is now in North Carolina, but it was in Albuquerque for 30 years or so. And so there I was introduced to Vedic astrology, and that's where my interest took off. And interestingly enough, Charlotte, whom I first met doing a Western astrology, is now completely converted to Vedic astrology
Vedic
herself.
astrology. Yeah,
So
fascinating.
here we
And
are.
tell us a little bit about what really brought you to writing your books. You've got several very interesting books.
The first book is a book about purpose, and I didn't have a purpose. I didn't know what I was doing in life, as I think many young men, I mean, many young people really, but as a young man, that was my dilemma. I was going to school at Arizona State University, not studying French. And the only thing I could be really was a French teacher or a waiter at a fancy, snooty restaurant, and neither of those appealed to me. And after going to France and coming back, I just sort of bounced around until I started reading Deepak Chopra's books. And later I found out I had changed a planetary period. I went from my Rahu period to my Jupiter period. And so the search for meaning began. And my first book took 6 to 7 years, really, probably 8 years to write because it's a book about dharma, Dharma, which is everybody knows karma, right? But very few people talk about dharma. Karma is
Right.
the sum of your past sort of impressions and the stuff you're going to experience in this life. Dharma is how you do it. It gives you the vehicle for doing it correctly so that you don't step on any toes this time around.
Right.
Um,
And hopefully
so
you
yeah,
can work out your karma.
so you can work out your karma and tread
Right.
lightly,
Yeah.
hopefully.
So give us some of the titles of your books. So one was about Dharma.
Well, they all have Dharma in the title. The first book is called The Five Dharma Types, and there are five personality types. Very easy. There's a test in there. You can go to spirittype.com, and there's a test on there as well. You can find your Dharma types free. And all these books are on Amazon, by the way. I don't publish them. They're published by the publisher. Second book is called Sex, Love, and Dharma, and it's about the dharma of relationships, interacting and human biology, as well as spirituality, and how to navigate that. Um, then the third one is called the Dharma Method. And finally, the fourth one is Gambler's Dharma, because,
Right,
and that's a somewhat controversial title, but we all take risks doing, trying to express ourselves in the world and being who we are supposed to be. And sometimes
right.
we fail, fall flat on our face. Sometimes we succeed, but we're all really gamblers on this planet, trying things out. And that book specifically is about astrology and predicting sports outcomes. But I think its title applies to everybody who is here and trying to figure out what life is all about.
Right. And then it kind of slowly but surely took you to creating Delano, which I was part of, studying with you, getting certified. And tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, the so my second book, Sex, Love, and Dharma, that has always been a big issue for me as well. And in trying to figure out, my own issues, male female dynamics, and how to live, do things in a proper way spiritually, but also not be a wuss, right? How to have a strong spine and an open heart. This is the challenge. Um, And what that led to is the deep understanding that some people are meant to be together and some people are not. And trying to force yourself into a relationship that is not meant to be, or that has significant problems, just creates trauma for
Mhm.
both parties. And I thought, gosh, can we save people that trouble? And we started developing this from a core set of ideas, and it started growing out. You ask questions, other people ask questions, and we started, okay, and it became this thing. And now I call it the Delano dozen. I'm going to share my screen with you to show you. You haven't seen this.
Actually, before you do that, though, I wanted to
Uh-huh.
ask you, how were you as a young man?
Oh, in relationships or just in general?
Well, I mean, how did you, yeah, in general, as far as love is concerned?
Oh, miserable, terrible. I was not one of those guys who had, I wasn't a nerd per se,
Yeah,
but like completely lacking in skills, but I certainly wasn't one of the very skilled guys who could just go up and talk to a girl they were interested in. And
a little
and so
insecure.
yeah, yeah, well, quite a bit, not a little, quite a bit,
Okay.
if I'm being honest. Um, And as it's interesting that I just shared my screen and hid my face as I'm talking about that. So here, let's bring it back. Uh, right, everything has a meaning. This is a kind of body language. Um, so yes, it takes a lot of time to figure things out, and it also matters in how you were raised. So I was raised just by my mom, right? So I didn't have my dad around. I didn't have that model for masculinity or evolutionary masculinity. I had other models, but they weren't positive.
Right,
And I'm sure a lot of people can relate here, who have or were just raised by one parent. Either they're drunk or they're abusive or they're absent or they're depressed or they're other issues that don't show you as a young person what life can be, right? They show you their version. And we're not talking about blame here, right? There's no
right,
one's to blame. Everyone's doing their best. But when you don't grow up with good role models, statistics, the statistics are incredible. Kids raised in poverty, which I was as well, have higher death rates. They have lower IQ on average because the food you eat, the things you're exposed to create stress in the body. They don't allow you to fully grow. As you know, our brains grow all the way up through into our 20s, all the way back to our Saturn return. You're not really
right,
an adult until your Saturn return, which is about age 27, 28, 29. Let's
right.
even say 30. So if you're growing under stress, right? It makes sense that your brain, your body, your nervous system doesn't grow optimally. And so the statistics reflect that. The statistics on poverty reflect it. The statistics on kids raised by one parent and so forth.
And I
So
have to interject
tell me.
just to say that there are also children who are raised by both parents, but still there is a great deal of dysfunction
Sure.
or
Uh,
possibly
so
karma that they have to work out with one or both parents.
there are
So
two
those,
dynamics here that we're talking about. One is poverty, and one is having both parents. So kids who have neither of the, or who have both of those rather, who are below the poverty level and lacking good role models have the worst of it. Now, even there are levels, right? There's physical abuse, there's sexual abuse, there's all that. None of that happened in my case, but
right,
right. And then there's people who are very wealthy and both parents are present and they become psychopaths, right? So,
right.
that's the exception that proves the rule. The statistics that I'm quoting, and I didn't have them ready for this interview.
That's
They're
okay.
there. I'm not making them up, right?
Right.
Um, so, uh, so that's why I wrote the book. For me, if there's something that I really want to find out, I go deep. I research into it and start practicing it. But being that astrology was my thing, I thought, can we apply astrology? And of course, there are many books written on
Right.
the astrology of relationships, and that's where everything started. And now we have this amazing program that can basically tell you, are you with your soulmate? If so, there's still going to be issues. What might those issues be? How can
Right.
you solve them? And
But you
so
have the tools with Delano
it,
to know what you can work on and what to
that's it.
work on.
Having tools, and I watch people who sit in therapy. There are shows on TV about couples therapy, and they spend years there and just talking in circles about the same thing and not getting anywhere. And
Right.
one look at the chart, you go, okay, here's the problem. This. Here's what you got going for you. This.
Right.
This is how the sex is. This is how your friendship is. And the people are like, whoa, how did you know that? Yeah.
Yeah.
And boom,
And
like in 30 minutes.
what I wanted to actually underline is that it's been amazing that as we went along, just as you went along teaching and we went along sharing, we came upon other factors that really underline specifically. And I would like you to talk about that today. And maybe if you can share, I don't know, a chart or two.
Yeah, so we're always learning. That's the thing. I don't claim to have the perfect system, and if anyone does, you just run. You close the door, right? The perfect vacuum cleaner, the perfect whatever. We ain't selling that. What
Right.
we're selling is a tool that can make your life a hell of a lot easier by helping you
Absolutely.
understand your
Yeah.
relationships. But nothing's perfect, and we're constantly adding to it. We're constantly trying to make it better. In fact, so much so that that's why I teach a course on it because there's
Mhm.
so much information that you look at and you go, whoa, what is this? Am I a stockbroker? What are all these numbers and stuff here? It's because there's so much information. And yeah, you kind of need an education to understand how to use it. But still, um, as far as showing you how it works, I was going to share a slide with you.
Yes, please do.
Um, And while I don't have a couple of charts prepared, we could pull them up. We talked about Pamela
Your camera
Anderson.
is a little fuzzy, just so you know.
Oh, is it? It's because it's dark.
Oh, okay.
Even though it's only 4:30, we just had a storm here, so it's dark. Is this better? Well,
Well,
you
yeah,
should be seeing my
the
screen
screen
then.
share is fine. Yes.
Okay. So basically, these are the 12 things that we look at. I call the Delano dozen.
Right.
And I won't bore you by going through all of them here, maybe just one or two, but um, just being able to measure something like sizzle, your sexual compatibility, not just compatibility, but the ability to obtain fulfillment, right, in this area can go a
Mhm.
long way because this can be an issue for couples. What is your friendship potential? We can see that. Potential for a 10 plus year relationship. We can see that. etc., etc. So, um, I guess I could pull up a couple
But
if
what I wanted to also underline is that as we have come further and further along, we all, or with you, of course, come to a realization that the sizzle factor seems to be incredibly important in the longevity of a relationship
yeah.
at this
The
time.
the crazy thing is that any one of these can make a relationship or break a relationship. For example, if there's so much danger, what we call the danger meter, if there's incredible breakup potential, that could be it. That could basically break the back of a relationship. If the sizzle is good or the sizzle is bad, that could break the back or make the relationship. But you're right. What we found is that the sizzle, meaning sexual fulfillment, especially in our modern times,
Yeah.
is especially indicative of relationships that make it versus those that don't. And mind you, we're not measuring how many times you have sex, how many orgasms you have. That's not what we're measuring. We're measuring your capacity to feel fulfilled.
Right,
And so you could have sex once a month, but if you feel fulfilled, then that's all that matters, right? If both partners are fulfilled.
right,
Or right. So it's not about, you know, standing on your head or doing the Kama Sutra. It's about do your bodies and does your chemistry mesh so well that you release feel good hormones around each other, even when you're not having sex, even when you just brush against each other, you know, there's that sense of, yeah, this is good,
hmm
you know? So, yeah, and so there are, of course, a bunch of subcategories. So there we have at least a total of 120 individual variables that we look at. So when someone asks me, "Are we compatible?" I'm like, "Okay, you're gonna need to sit down,"
right,
because if they want a yes or no answer, it means they're really not interested. But um, or sometimes if it's very bad, you could just no, you're not compatible. And I've
right.
certainly said that to people. And the opposite is also true.
Well, something that I wanted to bring up, which I think is really important to spend a little time on, is what we've also discovered, which is called the karmic glue, which
Hmm.
are two people that come together that have a very high karmic glue score that is not necessarily the reason for a long-lasting relationship. It basically means that they've come together to work something out, but it doesn't definitely underline that they're going to have a happy long-term relationship.
Exactly. Let me see if I have this spelled out here on the slide. Karmic glue is a very interesting. This is the one that a lot of people are interested in because it measures the unconscious or subconscious drives that pull people together.
Right,
But because these drives are subconscious, it's almost like you don't even know why. Like, I don't like him, but I need to be with him, like that kind of thing. And if there is high karmic glue and you're also compatible, meaning you've got combos for friendship, your sizzle is good, you've got deal makers, etc., then that has the potential to be a strong relationship because there are unconscious drives, but there are also conscious things that support those unconscious impulses. But if all you have is karmic glue and everything else, or a lot of the balance is not positive, then you have a recipe for a difficult relationship. And this is, codependence. You get people who stay in bad relationships and, therapists pull their hair out. Why can't you see? But the therapists don't know that there is so we break karmic glue down into three factors, which are represented by three planets in astrology. But first is power, power and the desire for transformation, and that's the planet Pluto. It, it's probably the most intense type of attraction. The second is Neptune in the idealism. Oh, I know he can be better. Because you see the ideal, but the reality doesn't match it.
Mhm.
And then the third is spontaneity and fun and so forth. And and so those unconscious, and when we can isolate which one of those it is, we can then specifically give the person remedies. So if it's a Neptune issue, Neptune likes to work in the shadows. It's about idealism. What we want to do is we have several remedial measures. One of them is simply opening the curtains. You know, when it's a dark room, you want to open the curtains, let the sunlight in, and go, hey guys, this is reality.
Right.
Okay, this is what your room looks like. You want to clean it up a little bit because when it's dark, it doesn't look that bad. But you pull back the curtains and all the roaches start scurrying, and you see all the cigarette butts everywhere, and you go, oh my God, this thing is a mess, right? So like that. I don't know if that makes
Right.
sense or not, but it,
But you mentioned Pluto. So Pluto also affects, is one of the, depending on Pluto aspecting what planet, but specifically Pluto Venus is a very strong, passionate um,
yeah,
combination that we look in people's charts.
it's one of the most powerful attractors,
Right.
sexual attractors. But mind you, it doesn't necessarily correlate to sexual
Yeah.
fulfillment. So,
Right.
right, we talked about this in the last session. Pluto requires transformation. That's it. It's like your tongue is now stuck to a metal pole, okay? And it's like to an ice cold metal pole. Your tongue is stuck. There is no chance that you're not going to leave some portion of that behind. And if you want to, you either the pole has to become something else or the tongue has to become something else. You have to transform, or you can just try to rip them apart. But there's
Right.
going to be transformation.
Right.
That's a terrible example, by the way. Um, but the point is, what Pluto requires is that you cannot be the same person going into that relationship that as the person going out of that relation. You have to transform. What is one way to do that? Well, simply be brave and walk through and face all the issues. Number two is don't take things personally.
Right.
And with a Pluto thing,
Well, that's definitely with Pluto, with any aspecting anything, Pluto Sun, Pluto
yes.
ascendant. Yeah.
But with Pluto Venus, it's like you have this incredible. Here's a scenario: you have a Pluto Venus with your partner. You're walking down the street, and a beautiful woman walks by, and he looks at her, and you feel utterly betrayed because you've just given him everything. Like you've opened up, you've transformed, you've become his goddess, and here's this schlub looking at some girl who's not even that pretty, but he's looking at her. You saw him, you caught him. He's looking at her. How could he? And now this rage wells up in you, this complicated emotions. Now, what's the answer? Don't take it personally. Because, and this is why it's so hard, because it may be he was looking at something else. You don't know what's going on inside of him. You think, oh my God, I gave him everything and he's still attracted to someone else, but he may not be, right? It may simply be biological thing. I'm not defending
Right.
whatever, the hypothetical dude, but come on, we all know it's dude behavior. That's how dudes behave. It is sort of this primal thing. We're hunters, and he might be utterly surprised. On the other hand, he may be attracted to her and he may be leaking sexual energy like, hey, babe, I want to get with you. And so now what do? You still don't take it personally. And you have the talk and you go, you like her? No, without like, really, are you sexual? Okay, well, I cannot be with someone and give you everything of myself if you're going to leak sexual energy outside of our relationship.
Right.
And so, not taking it personally, I understand, right? So, and you give them a chance to change. They don't change, you step away from the relationship. But now you're transformed, they're transformed because something has happened. That's just one of a million
Pluto to me is
scenarios.
like the phoenix that rises from the ashes. I have a lot of Pluto in my chart, and I also have planets in Scorpio, so I get it.
Yeah. So you're going to attract relationships where it is about the leakage of sexual energy and there's tension and whatnot. And the thing is, if you want to see people at their weakest, because we don't get training on this, by the way.
Mm,
We go to college, we learn about business. We don't learn about how to manage my masculinity or how to optimize your femininity. And I'm not talking about putting on lipstick and stuff. I'm talking about how to own the energies that you're given,
right.
right? And we all have to figure it out. You see a lot of young girls out there trying to figure it out, wearing super short shorts, like tops where you could see everything, because they know they have, it gives them power, right? They get looks. So it attracts that attention. But what do you do with that attention? Do you know how to process that?
Right.
And so over time, and we're all trying to do it, men, women. So we don't get trained on that. And we have to be nicer to each other, hopefully.
Well, the reason I brought that up with the Pluto Venus is because it's part of the karmic glue, but it's also one of the factors in the sizzle factor. Because we
Yeah.
have Pluto Venus, we have Moon Mars, we have for lesser Venus Mars. What was the
Hmm.
other one? There was another one.
And the ancient method, the
Yeah,
yoni, and
yeah,
and
the
yeah,
Yoni. Yeah.
yeah. So what I've done is incorporate a number of Western techniques and Vedic techniques that talk about sexuality and try to get them to work together and to give people a score. But yeah, so each one of those has a different energy. Pluto Venus is just,
We also had K2 Venus.
and K2 Venus is very different energy. K2
Yeah.
Venus is like you knew this person in a past life. One of you got shot or killed or died early, and you didn't get a chance to experience that love. So now you're meeting them again, and you're like, holy crap, I
Right.
want to hold on to this.
Yeah.
Like, right? There's this unconscious need for you to hold on to this relationship because you don't want to lose them.
Hmm.
And it's not logical. You go, how can these people stay together for 20 years? They don't even talk to each other. They're not compatible.
Right.
Venus sometimes can do the trick.
Yeah. So I was wondering if you could share. I know that you've done or compared a bunch of celebrity charts. Could you go through one of them like,
You want me to share the screen and go through a celebrity chart?
yeah, maybe
Well, I'll use the one I still have up from our class yesterday, which is Pam Anderson and Tommy Lee. How's
oh
that?
yeah. But that's
That
not a
work
good
for you?
example for a long-term relationship.
Well, it is and it isn't because they're still in a relationship
Right.
in a sense that they still text each other, and Pamela calls him the love of her life.
Hmm.
But as we will see here in a second, their relationship was doomed from the start in the sense that it just didn't have the legs to be a long term. And so we have simple algorithms that give you, if you don't want to really dig deep, if you just want a sound bite, go, get the software, and right here is everything you need to know. They have their compatibility score is decent, but their long term is not likely, meaning together long term. But what they do have is what we call hidden strengths and weaknesses, and they have powerful friendship combos and the sense of like always wanting to help the other person and wishing them well.
Hmm.
Um, and in addition to that, they have what we term, what I just call durability.
Hmm.
It's called ancient methods here, but ancient methods were concerned with couples having durability. So you survive, right? Disease comes, you survive. You have kids, you survive, and so forth. And they have incredibly high ancient methods. So that does suggest being in each other's lives in some capacity. But to
Right,
me, when I look at this, it's not as lovers long term, it is more as friends.
right,
And this is what I would straight up say to a couple like this is you guys are you're always going to be in each other's lives, but probably more as friends. Now, of course, they do have a mission. They do have two children together, and the house of children certainly comes up, and we do see children for them, but not as a long-term kind of relationship. You can see overall score is below average. That is the likelihood that they will stay together as a happy couple.
right. Well, the one that I found really interesting because um, I won't explain it, you will explain it, but it was Paul Newman and Joanne Woodward who
Sure.
have a very interesting combination of uh, good connections and also challenges.
Yeah, so they are the poster child. So look at, I just showed you Pam and Tommy, right? You
Right,
saw 2 stars. Here you have 5 stars overall score, and it's
right.
composed, look at this, 5 stars in literally every
Every.
category. You will rarely see this. Look at this. Total
Hmm.
relationship score, 99. Long-term happiness, like guaranteed,
Yeah,
practically. But by contrast, 0% hidden strengths and weaknesses. So
right,
this is where their biggest issue is. So even though they may have others fooled, and not fooled, but like others will be blown away by how good the relationship is, we can see that there are still chips here, that there are still major issues. And among those is mutual criticism about their personal habits and
right,
schedules, to such a degree that it would drive them to live apart. And you're going to go, wait a minute. How can they not live together but still be a perfect couple? Well, folks, every relationship truly is a fingerprint.
right,
You and your partner, what you have is so unique that no one else in the world has that specific combination of points
right,
and values that you and your partner have. And that's the beauty of it. It so for them, the specific issue is they do not approve of each other's habit. I think he was an alcoholic for part of the time, and he also didn't want her to be a career woman. He wanted her to raise her children, but she did want to be a career woman, and she regretted that deeply. So they had very conflicting opinions about each other's personal habits, and that created problems. And of course, you know what I'm talking about from looking at this, right?
right,
From our Delano certification, uh, you know what I'm looking at. I'm looking at Saturn Lugna here. I'm looking at different stuff, and that it's not balanced out nearly well enough by Jupiter.
right. They have more
Uh,
Saturn aspects than Jupiter aspects.
yeah, exactly. But nevertheless, that is a little bit of a fly in the ointment. But overall, there's so much good stuff, so much karmic glue pulling these people together, and so much durability, so many deal makers. Their sizzle is off the charts that, yeah, they'll make it work.
Yeah. Well, they found ways to make it work because they had on the same property, they had two different houses, right?
Yeah, they had two different houses, and you're gonna say, "Oh, well, great, millionaires, right? It worked for them." No, you can make this work. If you have this chart and
Right,
you live in a small apartment, you could still make your relationship work, no problem. Just you develop time and habits to yourself.
right,
So you develop a space to each of you, hobbies for each of you that you are just by yourself doing, that your partner is not involved in, and that's how you make it work.
Well, they also had certain tragedies in their life. I think the fact that she
They lost a
sacrificed
child.
her, yeah, her career. I mean, she was still famous, but she didn't really pursue it as much as he did his career. And also, yeah, losing a child, that was devastating.
Yeah, yeah,
She had, I think
yeah.
in some interview, she had mentioned that she wishes she did never had children, right? Something like that.
Yes. So she was asked if she would do it all over again, and she said, honestly, I love my kids, but no.
Mm,
And I get it. I understand it by looking at this, that there's such a powerful opposing forces that stopped her from doing the things she wanted to do. Also stopped him. But given that it's more of a, male culture, he got to do what he wanted to, basically.
hmm.
And I think he came around later in life, certainly, and that they have such an incredible bond that he realized his love for her was more important than anything else. And that's what kept them together. But there were certainly issues. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just amazing what a tool this is as far as really diagnosing. And I feel it can help so many people, really, especially because we also have remedy. So it's like, once you have the tools, then it is workable, right?
Right. And the thing is, you can, a lot of the remedies are in the report. So the good news is you don't have to read all this by yourself. The report explains a lot of these combinations, explains all the positive deal makers and how they play out. That, for example, Wind Beneath My Wings, that we give them each of the deal makers and deal
Mhm.
breakers cool names. How it plays out in the relationship. And when you read this to the couple, you'll notice them just nodding their heads. It's like, oh yeah. Um,
I know you
so
were putting together a website. Is the website ready yet? What is the website's URL?
the website for oh well, decoding, is it not decoding Vedic wisdom? Divine Love Match, not decoding. That's my site.
Right, that's your site. Yeah.
Divinelovematch.com. Anyone can go there and be find out more about what we do. Guess my internet here is a little slow. Give it a second.
And then
There
I
it is.
wanted you to share your talk about your sizzle token and how it works with the AI.
Right. Well, Sizzle token. So let me, this is the website, divinelovematch.com. Check it out. You can get free 15-minute sessions with, and there's our dear Fidoze here with our experts. You can get the pro software. You can become certified yourself, divinelovematch.com. If you're interested in the world of crypto or AI, we've also uh, designed an AI to do what a professional would do, but unfortunately not nearly as well. But it's just AI, right? So, as you know, AI is a long ways away in some respects from especially this kind of stuff, the human stuff. But it can still give you some basic insights. So we also tied it to a token, a crypto token called Sizzle. And so you need to hold the Sizzle token in order to, um, I forget my password here. So you need to hold the token in order to access the AI. So the Sizzle token, and you can get, so when you, let's just go ahead and,
And I wanted to also interject, going back to the reports in Delano. I really feel like if someone wants to truly understands all the in and outs of their compatibility, they really need an astrologer to explain them. Even though, I mean, the reports, you can find out what the remedies are and so on, but
yeah,
you
yeah.
really,
Look, It's like anything else. If you want a professional job, you speak to a professional. If you're okay with getting getting it just some scores and numbers, that's fine too. Here is, by the way, here's the Sizzle token on our website. When you click buy Sizzle, you can go and get the token. You'll need a Solana wallet. You can buy it with Solana. And holding that token in your wallet will allow you to access the AI. Now, we've got big things planned for this in this summer. This
Hmm.
summer, okay? So right now you can see the Sizzle token is not doing anything. It's pretty much it's a very low market cap. So even from the point of view of I'm not representing, there's not financial advice. No, I'm not telling you to buy it or sell or do anything. But
And I think
I'm
it's
telling you,
also important to mention that there are some copycats, so it's really important to
at this point, the
spell it properly.
copycats have dropped off. So this
Oh,
is
okay.
us. Yeah, if you go to our website and click trade, you'll be taken to the right token. But the point is, what I can represent is that this summer we're going to make a big push on getting the word out there and working on the Sizzle token. So you're hearing it here first, and you do what you want with that information. But in a couple of months, we'll be actively, uh, putting this in front of people. So yeah, that's this part of it, and this combines a couple of my interests. One is, of course, astrology, which is the main, by far the main, 90% of it,
Right,
and the other 5% is crypto, and the other 5% is AI. So uh, it's just a way to introduce a different demographic to
right.
the compatibility and astrology stuff, you know. So sizzle.ai, you can check it out.
And hopefully at some point you will have where there'll be some kind of online dating app that hopefully will use this.
Yeah,
Um,
if any of you out there are involved in the dating app industry, or we have the tools, we have the algorithms. What we don't have is the resources to develop it into a full-fledged app that is secure. I mean,
right.
it takes hundreds of thousands of dollars basically,
Right.
and a lot of manpower, human power.
Mhm.
So that part of, I'm the inventor, right? We need development. That's a different department, and you can see
Right.
that all the departments they're already gone for the day. So I can't. I knock on the door. There's no one there. Yeah. So we always can use some help. But another avenue is selling this to matchmakers. So the Delano certification course is $2,500.
Hmm.
I'm happy to work with affiliates who present this course to, say, a matchmaker or someone else, and very generous, compensation. So if people just want to do sales, they can make
Right.
six figures in a year very quickly if they're motivated.
The other thing that I'm actually thinking back, I think at some point it would be good to try and step back and get in touch with a couple of people regarding doing some kind of a reality, uh, you know, show concerning, using Delano as far
Yeah.
as how to choose the people.
Yeah, or to be consultants on the show. There's what is it on Netflix? There's a show called Unreal. I don't know
Uh-huh.
if are you familiar with this?
I think
It
I've
is a
heard something about it, but I haven't seen it.
it's a behind the scenes look at the reality show dating, The Bachelor kind of
Right,
thing, with a fictional show, but all the shenanigans and goofiness that happens, and it's salacious, it's yummy, it's wicked, it's very interesting. But gosh, do those people need help, right?
yeah,
And those poor ladies and the guy, the bachelor, and then vice versa. And
right.
it's just because you're dealing with an illusion. It's all lipstick and gloss, right?
Right.
And how do you know if that person is actually suitable for you? You have no clue. I
Yeah.
would be, it's like turning you around, having you do a shot, holding you upside down and telling you, okay, what is the square root of 40, 487?
Yeah.
You're like, what? There's no way. So yes, it would be great. If any one of you out there have contacts and are producers, just give me a call.
Yeah. Say hello. Say hello. So, before we finish this episode of conversation, um, any golden nuggets? And what I actually wanted to go through, which I think is really, really important, and you mentioned the young, population, and there's so many distortions and misunderstandings, and especially because of, Instagram, TikTok, and all that jazz. Um, so that is one that I think Delano could be so very helpful with. The other, um, I think it would be really nice for you to touch on a little bit about your recent findings, again, just regarding sizzle, the sexual part of the compatibility and their importance, and what gives it longevity or
What was the question again?
satisfaction.
What, can you repeat the question? Hello?
Longevity.
Oh, nuggets.
or
Give you some
sati
nuggets on longevity.
golden.
Yeah.
No, there were certain aspects that we've come to realize their importance, where we didn't really quite see it as
I'll give you some nuggets.
powerful.
We have an eclipse going on right now. Don't get
Right,
married on an eclipse. That's
right,
a nugget.
right.
And you think I'm joking, and I am kind of joking, but a lot of people do. And Prince Charles and Princess Diana
Yeah.
are one example, and there are others. Don't get married during an eclipse. Don't get married when it's a new moon, for example, or even on a Saturday or a Tuesday, because those are days and you're gonna be like, Simon, what the hell does the day have to
And
do
it's
with it?
incredible. So many people get married on Saturdays.
Yes, well,
Yeah.
because that's her day off. And think
Right,
about it.
right,
Think about what that says, first of all, psychologically. It says, my celebrating the most important event of my life that shows my love and commitment to this person is not important enough for me to take a day off work.
right.
So I have to do it on the weekend and on a day that's devoted to Saturn, who is the old disciplinarian with bad breath and thick spectacles on his day. No, do it on Friday, the day of love, the day that's ruled by Freya, or
Venus.
in that's Norse mythology, and in Roman it's Venus, or in Greek it's Aphrodite. Or do it on a Thursday, which is devoted to wisdom, or even on a Monday. But don't do it on a Saturday. Don't do it on a Tuesday, which is the god of war. Simple
Mars
things.
Day. Yeah.
Mars's day, right? So those are a couple of nuggets
And I
for
wouldn't
anybody.
even get married during Mercury retrograde because you're signing a contract.
You are signing a contract. There are ways you can get away with it, certainly, because then we're narrowing things down. But yeah, don't get married. If we're paying attention to things like Mercury retrograde, I would say even more important than that is don't get married when the planet Venus in the sky is invisible,
Right,
meaning it's combust by the sun. So the planet of love, when it comes too close to the sun, it disappears for a number of months. So during those months, typically it's not good to be married. And in India, you will not see marriages when Venus
right.
is combust.
It's very interesting as the position of the planets right now, uh, with the eclipse, the fact that
Don't do
also,
anything right now.
yeah, right.
Right now, it is what, March 16th? Okay, so we have an eclipse coming March 29th. Then we have Venus in a planetary war and combustion. So until
I think April
mid-April,
7th. Yeah.
yep,
Okay.
until just give it an extra week until
Right.
mid-April. Don't make any major life decisions unless they are sort of spiritually inclined, unless they are about you um, putting yourself out in the world and sort of setting intentions and goals, all that stuff. Great. But starting a business, getting married, wait.
But wouldn't you say with the position of the planets right now that there are past relationships that possibly might come back for
Yes, so
resolution?
much.
Yeah.
Well, past relationships, personal traumas,
Yeah.
the time that I stepped on a pop top in Mexico and had to cruise on back home. And now there's booze in the blender and hope it will render that frozen concoction that will help me hang on. You start remembering that stuff, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, so there's so many things that could happen. That's why you don't expose yourself, right?
Right.
During this energy time. Now, some people who are, for whatever reason, immune to this stuff will be, I got married on eclipse, everything's fine. They're the exception. That happens too. I don't want to scare anybody. Like, look, if you have to do something, just do it. Like, if you have to pee, go pee. It doesn't matter if it's an eclipse or not. But I'm just telling you, if all other factors being equal, if you could wait, probably better to wait.
Well, something with marriage or signing, important contracts, one can wait
You can
for
wait.
more beneficial, yeah, more
I hope so.
beneficial times. Yeah.
And if you can't wait, then you need, some massage therapy, some work to kind of calm you down so that you can transform that.
Right, 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 right. So any other golden nuggets? That wasn't really your golden nugget, but
Well, golden nuggets, and I mean, my honestly, my best golden nugget is use astrology to understand in the hands of a competent person. Now, there's plenty of people who don't know what the hell they're talking about, and if
right.
you go to them, you'll be even more confused. And I'm sorry. Do some research, right? Make sure you're going to a competent person, read reviews, etc. But use astrology to shed light on your relationship and to give you guidance. I've always done so. I'm biased, and it's for the most part it has helped me. And I've
It's
been
an
to bad
amazing
astrologers
tool. It's an
as
amazing
well.
tool. Yeah. Yeah,
I've been to
amazing.
bad, good, and average. In the end, what it helps you do is to helps you to understand and make your own sort of conclusion. So it's not you're living off their words. It helps you to understand, and then you can decide.
I
So that's
think
my golden nugget.
yeah, I mean most people who become astrologers are people who are really, really inquisitive, who want to go deep and find out about themselves. And then it kind of evolves.
Oh
So,
yeah, I didn't want to help people. I
yeah,
really didn't. But what you learn is when you do astrology, you learn with example charts and you start looking at the
right.
charts of people, not because you want to work with
Yeah,
them, but because, oh, they have this and this. Oh, I see, I see. And then by the time you come out as a knowledgeable person, you're like, oh, I have all this information. I
right,
mean, I can help, so why don't I?
right.
And then people start coming to you. But yeah, that was never my intention. I was 100% selfish.
You were sort of drawn in by the
100%.
universe.
I was like, oh man, now I gotta help people. Are you kidding me? I just want,
Do
I
you
just
think
wanted,
maybe you got into it to get more attention from women? Could that have
um,
been your little secret?
probably, probably, probably there's something to that. I won't deny that. I won't say that was 100% my motivation, but I won't deny that's in there in the mix. Yeah, at different times. I mean, when I was 9 or 10, it wasn't my
That wasn't
motivation.
the issue.
That wasn't, no. But later on, yeah,
Yeah.
certainly. But as I've shared with you in class, sort of privately, more privately, often when I would be attracted to someone and I'd say, and they'd find out I'm an astrologer, oh, can I have a reading? And I'd be like, sure,
Yeah.
because now more often than not, what would happen is then I became their counselor, and that whole relationship shifted. I can never
Right.
be right.
Yeah, the dynamic changes.
The dynamic changes, and you start, if you start saying meaningful things to them, they open up, and you can't use that. There is an
Right.
ethical sort of thing where you can't use that to then try to get into their pants. And that was it. Like, then that relationship was over. We'd shake hands, thank you so much, hug, bye bye. Right. And but that's okay. That's okay. It is also I'm grateful for it.
You've learned a lot. You've come a long way.
Yeah, maybe. Still learning a lot. Still, people think, oh, you're the author, you should be the expert on it. Well, I'm the author because I knew nothing about it. I did research, and I'm still researching, right?
Yeah.
So I continue to make mistakes, and I'm just trying
I
to
think
get
we
better.
all learn till the last breath we take. And I really think that's a healthier attitude. I mean, you might delve deep, you might be interested, but you don't know everything. You can't know everything. So, yeah.
Well, life humbles you when you think you do. I suppose if you have enough money, enough influence, you can convince yourself that you control the world. But ultimately, time catches up with you, karma catches up, and we're blessed in that. I feel blessed that it catches up faster, and you go,
Right.
"Oh man, what a dumbass I was.
Right.
Let me try to fix that."
Yeah.
Right. So it doesn't take so many lifetimes to fix the things that you've
Yeah.
messed up.
Yeah. 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 Well, this was fascinating. Thank you again for joining me for another very
Always a pleasure.
interesting.
Thank you. Next time I'll bring coffee.
Yes. Yes. Maybe it'll be champagne or vodka. No.
Oh God. Yeah, we could do a late night. We could do a midnight talk.